What is the meaning of life? Nearly every one of us will confront this question during our time on this earth. You can ask it young, you can ask it old, you can ask it every day from when you gain consciousness to when you lose it. You may not ask it explicitly, sometimes our pursuit of meaning is more reflected in our choices than our words, or you may ask it out loud in every conversation you ever have. Though I should say, from personal experience, that isn't always the most effective social strategy. But the question of meaning is always there somewhere, motivating us, demotivating us, like an ember burning or gone cold. Some people find answers, some don't. Some find answers just to lose them later on. There are no objective scientific truths here, just the infinite wonderings of the human spirit. Why am I here? Where do I stand? How do I matter? In a community, society, in the whole of the universe. Do I matter? Now, instead of sitting idly with this question, we've created structures of meaning in our societies. There are ways to be and ways not to be, various ways to win and various ways to lose. I'd like to take a look at one of the most efficient of these social constructs, professional competitive sports, explain why I find them so fascinating, and perhaps discover why they're so popular around the world. There aren't many pursuits where success is celebrated with the same euphoria as in professional sports. Just look at that. Pure, visceral, childish euphoria. In most other contexts, such behavior would be absurd, inappropriate even. But on the field, on the pitch, on the court, such celebrations are not only acceptable, but expected. They are the norm. You win a trophy, you lose your freaking mind. It's an incredible thing to watch. Tough athletes playing a tough game, crying from joy, crying from accomplishment. Even if you don't care about sports, it's hard to watch this and say it's meaningless. You could say it's objectively meaningless in the same way anything else is, in the same way the universe is indifferent to us all, but you can't say it's meaningless to him. It looks like he's experiencing the very peak of meaning, a kind of purpose and achievement most people never or rarely get to feel. The absurdist writer and philosopher Albert Camus, a man who spent his life exploring and confronting meaninglessness, was himself a lover of soccer, or football as he would have called it. He was interviewed by a French television program a week after winning the Nobel Prize, and instead of choosing to be interviewed somewhere writerly, he chose the football pitch. Dude's the most celebrated writer intellectual in the world, and he just wants to watch the game?
I'll tell you, I am fired up today, Michelle, because how about them Bears?
In the myth of Sisyphus, Camus explains how we, the people of a meaningless universe, can stand in defiance of meaninglessness and actually come to enjoy our hollow existential task. We, along with Sisyphus, have been sentenced to roll a stone up a mountain, to live an absurd life, and still we can imagine Sisyphus happy. We can negate the gods, negate our torment, and lift rocks. I imagine Camus would agree the same could be said for throwing rocks, kicking rocks, and shooting rocks into hoops. Altogether, sports represent a beautiful rebellion against the cosmos, an organic attempt to create our own meanings, our own mountains as a manner of transforming our Sisyphean lives. For all time, all over the world, cultures have developed and adopted every type of competitive sport. Basketball, football, ice hockey, cricket, boat racing, windsurfing, kugelach. The first known sport, spear throwing, was played in 70,000 BC. Oddly enough, games are essential to the natural order of civilizations, and while some might think of them as crude or unsophisticated, their staying power and their fanatic popularity says something as profound about the human condition as anything Shakespeare or Camus, for that matter. Both theater and sports have been around as long as humans have, and both serve to form meaning. Theater through stories, and sports through the basest human elements: pattern recognition, competition, athleticism, camaraderie, and tribalism. Far from being meaningless, competitive sports and its practitioners are plugged directly into meaning. One might even imagine it feels like being on drugs. Camus was once asked by a friend which he preferred, football or the theater. Camus replied, "Football," without hesitation. I grew up in a very religious Jewish community, and I remember rabbis would actively discourage us from any serious involvement in sports, whether it was playing or rooting for sports, though rooting was seen as worse since it meant actively engaging with the secular world. Now, you might wonder, what could possibly be wrong with the game? Does God hate games? You certainly won't find a passage in the Torah that says don't play basketball. It does say not to waste your time with emptiness, and you could see how rabbis might think of sports as empty, but I believe it runs even deeper than that. When people play sports, when they become invested, excited, euphoric about sports, they're essentially plugging into a human-made meaning structure. And why would you ever need or want human-made meaning when you have the Word of God? God has already told you how to live a meaningful life. In a way, loving basketball was a direct assault on God, or at least a subversion of the idea that God's purpose for us, as our rabbis imagined it, was enough to satisfy our existential cravings. These millions of people investing time, sweat, tears, lives into playing simple games that are at least as absurd as Sisyphus rolling a rock up a hill, games we created. This fact stands in the face of God and says, your meaning isn't enough. Life without sports, life without fictions isn't enough. Of course, me and my fellow students weren't thinking about it this way, but in many cases the rabbis were. Their world was rich with meaning because they truly believed in God. So, of course they didn't need sports, and of course they couldn't imagine why we should either. If we truly believed, that is, which we were kids. Kids can't truly believe anything. So we played sports, and the kids who couldn't play sports found cards or crazy bones or even Torah memorization competitions. Everyone finding some man-made structure to make their lives make sense in the face of God. Yes, this is still a video about sports. Kind of. Sports is a microcosmic concentration of life, a distilling of life's most sensitive, visceral qualities: winning, losing, getting blamed, getting credit, facing adversity, being stronger as a team than as an individual, knowing where you are on the mountain and what it will take to reach the top. All these things that we're involved in to a less obvious degree in society, sports encapsulates in its clear, brutal truths. You win, you lose. The difference might have been one play, 1 inch, one unlucky bounce, and still, you win, you lose. You know where you stand. You know where you're trying to go. Sports is like the juicer to life's orange. It squeezes out its essence into some simple rules, a court, and a game. It's also why so many professional athletes have trouble integrating into the real world post-retirement. For their whole lives, they've been climbing the mountain with the mountaintop in sharp, glorious view. What was the meaning of life? Climbing, reaching, trying, winning. The world outside is so much more confusing. Have you lost? Have you won? Who knows? Just keep going and don't think about it too much. Find God, maybe, or find community, maybe, or make more money, maybe, or get married, maybe, or give back, maybe. There are endless mountains to climb, and almost none of them are as straightforward as take the ball from here to there. These mountains are much more abstract. They leave so many people wandering aimlessly, victims to chaos, victims to infinite choice. You don't even need to win something necessarily to find meaning. You just need to care to win something. You just need to feel purpose and propulsion in your life, optimally along with a team or a community. But day-to-day life is so layered and complex and corporate and lonely and bland and important and empty. It's difficult to see where you're going most of the time. In swinging a bat, throwing a pass, and sprinting down the pitch for a chance at a game-winning goal, you clarify life, you challenge life, and, at least temporarily, even if you lose, you win.
So it ain't about one play, ain't about nothing. This year, we did what we were supposed to do. We fought as a team. We fought as a team. Don't ever drop your head when it comes to a loss, dog, because there's too much pain outside of this that people really going through. This right here makes us stronger. Let's understand who we are as a team. Let's understand who we are as men. And let's make somebody smile when we walk out of here.